Number 10.
Vinegar Valentines. Mean Valentine's Day cards, also known as vinegar valentines, emerged in the 1800s and were used for humiliation purposes. A complete opposite to the ordinary Valentine's card, a vinegar valentine was a cheaply made card with a satirical image as well as a 4 or 6 line verse which described and mocked the personality of the recipient. There was a card for every insult you could think of, from baldness to status. More extreme cards even suggested that recipients kill themselves. The targets of these cards were varied and could include neighbors, enemies, bosses, teachers, or simply those whose advances you wanted to dismiss. These vinegar valentines, most popular between the 1840s and the 1880s, were mass-produced by the same companies that produce sweet Valentine's Day cards we use today. Note that before the prepaid stamp was introduced, the receiver paid for the mail instead of the sender. The recipient of a vinegar valentine not only had the bad luck of receiving the insult, but also had to pay for it.
Number 9. Wearing your heart on your sleeve.
Have you ever wondered where the rather strange expression, wearing your heart on your sleeve, came from? Theory suggests that it originated in the Middle Ages when, during a Roman festival, men drew names to determine the identity of their lady friend for the coming year. Once the name of the lady was known, it was worn on the man's sleeve for the remainder of the festival. This rather strange tradition began after Emperor Claudius II forbade marriage due to his firm belief that unmarried men made better soldiers. As an alternative to marriage, he suggested this strange temporary coupling.
Number 8. Escort cards. Escort cards,
also referred to as flirtation cards, resembled calling cards and were a humorous way for young people to initiate courtship in late 19th century America.
At the time, most women could hardly speak to a man without a chaperone, and thus, the easiest way for a man to flirt or start up a conversation with the woman he liked was to secretly slip the card into her hands. The woman would then hide the card in some inventive way, such as by slipping it into her glove or by hiding it behind her fan. Number 7. Lover's eyes.
Lover's eyes, also known as eye miniatures, were popular love tokens exchanged between wealthy couples in the late 1800s and early 1900s. A lover's eye was a painted miniature of the giver's eye, which was then gifted to their lover. As the name suggests, the lover's eye revealed solely the eye of the giver, thus allowing the receiver to wear it in public without the fear of anyone recognizing the identity of their loved one. Number 6. Future husband superstitions. In the past, ladies often relied on superstitions and strange rituals to learn about their future husband. One of the most popular superstitions regarding this involved reading signs from birds. This rather unusual practice dates back to Greek and Roman times. The idea is that the very first bird an unmarried woman spots on Valentine's Day will predict the character and personality of the man she will marry. For example, if a woman saw a goldfinch, that meant that she would marry a rich man, and if she saw a sparrow, it meant that she would marry a poor man but be very happy. A robin meant a sailor, and a woodpecker meant that no marriage would take place at all. Number 5. Bundling. In colonial America, bundling was a popular tradition which involved the courting couple to be in bed together, albeit with all of their clothes on. Often, a board would be placed in the middle of the bed to keep the couple separate, or the woman would be put in a bundling bag or a duffel bag like chastity bag. The parents were also often in the same room as a bundling couple to further ensure that no inappropriate behavior took place.
Number 4. Apples of Love. In 1975, author Benjamin Brodie wrote an article called The Sexual Significance of the Axilli, which was published in the journal Psychiatry. In the article, Brodie described the strange romantic custom present in rural Austrian society, wherein a girl kept slices of an apple in her armpit during a dance. The apples served as a natural deodorant. At the end of the dance, the girl would present the sweaty apple slice to the man she fancied, and if the man returned her feelings, he would bravely eat the apple slice, letting the girl know that where he stood. Number 3. Courting sticks.
Strict societal rules in early New England meant that courting was difficult. Couples were rarely left alone on their own, and this meant that the man had to often visit his lady and her family home. This was where the invention of courting sticks, also known as courting tubes, came in. A courting stick was a hollow tube, fitted with 2 mouthpieces and 2 earpieces. To use a courting stick, a couple would sit at either side of the fireplace and whisper little flirtations to each other. To hear the man speak, the woman would put one end of the tube in her ear, and when the man wanted to hear the woman's reply, he would put his end of the stick into his ear. Even though the whole family was present in the room, no one else could hear the 2 lovers' secret conversation.
Number 2. Love spoons.
The custom of men giving love spoons to the woman they wanted to court began in Wales in the 16th century. The tradition wasn't strictly confined to Wales, however. It extended all across Europe and was especially popular in Celtic countries. Love spoons were presented to a lover similar to how a bouquet of flowers might be presented to a lover today, and were usually made by young men during long sea voyages. These spoons were always carved from one piece of wood and the handle of the spoon was almost always decorated. If the girl accepted the love spoon, it was a sign that she returned the man's feelings and that a relationship between the two would begin. It is believed that this is where the origin of the word spooning comes from. If the couple decided to stay together, they would often display the love spoon on one of the walls of their home, similar to how a wedding photograph would be displayed today.
Number 1. Morgengabe.
In Germany in the Middle Ages, marriage between a man and a woman always meant the exchange of many gifts between the 2 families involved. The husband presented a bride price, a certain sum of money, property, or some other form of wealth, to the father of the bride, and the latter gave something to the newly married couple in return. However, perhaps the most interesting gift of all was the one that the husband gave to his new bride. The Morgengabe, or morning gift, was a substantial gift that a husband gave the bride the morning after they consummated the marriage. Morgengabe was essentially a payment for the woman's virginity, which, of course, could not be sold until the husband had verified that it did, in fact, exist. In the early Middle Ages, consummation was what made the marriage real, and Morgengabe was, in effect, its final guarantee.